everybody. It's a pleasure for me to address you in order to describe my innovation pedagogical techniques that I have been able to create since I graduated from the university, and I have developed through my years of experience. 30 years ago, I started teaching English, and convinced that I can contribute with what I have gained from my teaching experience, I began to develop my own methodology based on my licenciatura dissertation. The main learning outcome of my course is for the students to understand how the second language works so that they can use it in real-life contexts. All the teaching material was and is being created by me. I do not use any book from publishing houses. My methodology is grounded on stories, whose characters are involved in sequences with an understandable and visual context. The goal is that the students consciously learn English through real situations from their native language. In order to teach the present continuous tense, I use the dramatization methodology as follows. The verb to be is casted by Mr. Bean, who is the protagonist of a story. At the beginning, he represents a person who thinks about el ser y el estar. The simple past of this verb is casted by the same character as a baby who grows and plays with two dice with the words was and were. Mr. B grows and finds his girlfriend, the ending ing, and they are going to get married. Then we get ready for the wedding. Mr. Bean, who represents the verb to be, is the groom. He gets married to the form of the conjugated verb ending with ing, who is the bride. There are some court members who represent the persons of verbs am, is, and are. This activity gives the students a celebrating and meaningful experience of learning. One of my students had filmed the wedding and posted it on Facebook as a memory full of laughs. I'm sure they will never forget the construction of the present continuous tense from then on. This dramatization was planned for students of La Salle High School. I have also organized regular and irregular verbs in a chart forming conjugation groups arranged by patterns, each with their own exceptions. The chart saves time and effort in memorizing long lists of verbs. I have invented some games and a song to identify the parts of a speech: nouns, personal pronouns, adjectives, demonstrative adjectives and pronouns, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, question words, etc. The nature of this teaching material depends on the student's level. To teach numbers from 13 to 19, children have to know numbers from 0 to 12. After that, I draw a bell standing for number 1, which represents the sound teen. I also introduced two phonics patterns, namely of double E and sound, with the tongue between the teeth. Thus, it is easier for them to say and write numbers but just adding teen to numbers from 14 to 19. Every number within each group is linked to a picture and its correct pronunciation. In the field of teaching vocabulary, one of my goals is to increase the students' vocabulary and comprehension through a creative way enabling them to visualize and analyze words. Students are encouraged to find a way to associate, divide, or learn more than one word at the same time when it is possible. am passionate studying and teaching phonics. I really have had rewarding and gratifying results. 5 years old students have had 10 hours of English per week. By the end of the year, are able to read short stories. Phonics patterns help to accelerate the reading comprehension learning process. I have written some short stories and chants for each pattern of pronunciation. Students have the opportunity to make their own collection of little books made of folded piece of paper. I made this material when I worked at La Salle High School and Unidad Educativa Pasos. Here you have an example of short sound. You sound a little slug loves making bubbles in the mud. The slug wraps and lags bubbles on its back opening rats. A bag from the top of the hat looks how the slug has lots of fun. Here are some words. The words in the blue are my interpretation of the sounds. Thinking about the innovation, I teach my students to listen and to pronounce the word correctly according to the American standard. For example, the word family, bank, sun. I have made and organized 3 websites where I have gathered all the multimedia resources. One is for English, the second is for phonics, and the third is a library containing educational books and encyclopedias which can be freely downloaded. To understand and learn a language as a non-native speaker and to teach to non-native speakers are an everyday challenge. Every class I get to know more, and it is gratifying to have the opportunity to encourage students through cooking classes, going to the supermarket, restaurant, or to the city to practice English in a real context. To bring this video an end, I hope that what I have told you give you some suggestions of how to